everyone, welcome to my channel. So this is actually my very first video here. I'm a little bit nervous. I have my little cheat sheet jot down here about being a YouTuber for a while, but never had such a strong urge to share the things with you guys until the outbreak of the coronavirus. I live in Manhattan, which is the epicenter of the coronavirus right now. I think the confirmed cases was about 13,000 last night, which is quite shocking from, only a couple of the cases beginning of the month. So I've been hearing a lot of things from the news. Actually, my parents living in China, so they just went through the whole thing about 2 months ago, and I also heard a lot of story from there. So I thought I would just share with you guys some of the things I say might not be exactly the same as what the CDC and government tell you to, but just look at it as a different perspective, and I'm sure you have your own judgment of what's best for you. So the first thing I want to talk about is the mask issue. Since the very beginning, the US government and the CDC have been telling the public that if you're not sick, you're not confirmed with the virus, you're not medical professionals, don't wear the mask. You don't need to wear the mask, which is quite shocking for me because we all know that the coronavirus have at least 14 days incubation period, which means you can be an asymptomatic patient but still have the power to transfer the virus to other people. So if the asymptomatic patients didn't know he or she has the virus and was not self-quarantine, that just means he or she has a great chance to transmit the virus to other people. And if you happen to be not wearing the mask, then you're more susceptible to get infected by the virus. Actually, one of the extreme cases happened in my hometown. The guy went to the grocery market, buy some stuff, and happened to stand to an asymptomatic patient. And a few days later, he got infected with the virus too. They didn't even talk to each other. It was just standing next to each other. And that was caught by the surveillance camera when they later on start to track, who he has get in touch to over the past 2 weeks. So I think it's quite important. I'm not saying you should hoard the mask, which apparently become legal right now. I'm just saying that get a few if you can and wear it when you go outside, when you go to crowded areas. Now probably, most people are staying at home, which is good, because the best way to cut down or flatten the curve for this virus is just to isolate the areas that are being infected and cut down from the source. The sooner we do that, the flatter the curves are gonna be. But I don't think people are taking, not everyone, but there's a certain group of people that don't take the social distancing very seriously. So as I mentioned, I live in New York, and then the city has been shut down. All the restaurants and clubs, all the public schools are shut down. Governor Andrew Cuomo says 100% work reduction, which means everyone's working from home or not working. And once after all those orders being effective, people are still casually, playing team sports in park or doing some unnecessary things. It's great you work out, but then during this special period, or going to the church, it's all good things, but during this special period, I think it's really important to just reduce the amount of time you being outside, because who knows, you might just pass by asymptomatic patient and you can, not only get infected by the virus, you can also potentially bring the virus to the people who live with you. So it's really dangerous. I really hope all of us take seriously. So give you a little bit contrast of what was happening in China when my parents, where they live is a community, right? And there's a bunch of condo buildings. Every 2 days, there's only one person in the household can go outside, get some necessary things grocery or toilet paper. You can still get it in China, yeah. Nobody hoarded toilet paper there, which is quite funny. They get temperature measure when you go into the store, or when you're returning back to the community, there's a security guard will get you measure your temperature. Those are all, I think, very effective ways to help control the virus, which we're not doing it right here. Again, going back to the mask, that if you have one, wear it. I think that's a very effective way if you have to make a trip outside, grocery or a medical appointment that's urgent. So another thing I want to talk about is that, with the 100% workforce reduction, everyone has to work from home right now, but not everyone can. We're the lucky group. I can just grab a monitor and a computer at home and start my home office. There are a lot of people like the cab driver, the babysitters, waitress, anyone working in the restaurant industry, hotel industry, even the NBA players or the physical therapists. There are tons of people who cannot work from home, and a lot of them are counting on every paycheck to feed themselves and their loved ones. Virus keep going on, but those people has to leave. There are a lot of voice out there for small business, big corporations, but not much for the individuals. We heard about the Trump administration talking about giving the low-income family people $1,000 per month to help out the coronavirus situation, but we don't know when the bill is going to be passed. I think with this kind of situation, the stableness of the society is going to be in question. Actually, last Friday, I hear people screaming on the street, and there was tons of cops cars and ambulance came, and I kind of look outside from the window and there's blood. I don't know exactly what happened, but it's quite shocking. And I think with people, so many people don't have stable income to live a minimum standard life, there's going to be more societal problems going to come out as well. So social distancing is very important at the very beginning. This is the most effective way by a lot of experts around the world. Basically, we have to cut down the source, isolate those infected areas as soon as we can. But then about 2 weeks ago, I was listening to a press conference. I was quite shocked of what I was hearing that time. So basically, they issue a travel advisory, but someone from the government says we still encourage people to travel to state of Washington and California. At that time, those two states have already have a lot of infected patients, and encouraging people to travel to there, I just thought it's unbelievable. When you have tens of thousands of people already get infected in the countries, it's too late to adopt the travel bans. We have to do these things early enough to flatten the curve. Alright, so the second thing I want to talk about is that this is not a one country problem. I think there are people have discrimination against Asian people in New York City or in other parts of the country. They think it's a Chinese virus. It is started there. It's because of people doing lab experiments there. I don't think any of that has been confirmed yet, and I don't think this is a good way to handle the virus. It's not going to be a one country problem with the world being so communicative these days. You can travel anywhere. It's really a global economy, so it takes, just like climate change or any other international problem, it takes the whole world to do it together. I was talking to my grandma last weekend, and she was very worried about my situation. I kind of comfort her a little bit, and I have food, I'm not going outside right now. So towards the end, she told me, she's like, I'm not praying for our family anymore every morning. By the way, she's a Buddhist, so my grandma woke up every day and prayed. She says now she prays for everyone in the world for their health and well-being.